Employees of Viz Media were going around Anime Expo handing out copyright infringement letters, and that was kind of a thing that was going around on Twitter. So, if you guys have never been to a con or if you guys have never been to Anime Expo, there are booths in which people can go and sell merch, stuff like that. There's also something called an artist alley, which is a room. It's not even a room, it is a freaking massive where all artist tables are there. Go around, and the artists will have their little booths to go sell their art. You have to apply to get in. You can basically sell whatever you want. And in these conventions, a lot of times what is sold is fan art of known IPs. There would be, I don't know, My Hero Academia fan art, Chainsaw Man fan art, etc. So this started with this tweet that I saw on Twitter from Kazozia, if I read their name right, or Kazozia. For artists who are selling fan art at Anime Expo, please be aware representatives for Viz Media are going around giving out copyright strike violations. I'm not sure if it's exhibitor hall only at the moment, but I am aware there are a lot of small artists up here who aren't AA. I think this is referring to Artist Alley. Evangelion, Dragon Maid, Lucky Star fall under some of their properties that they're giving out strikes for. If you guys don't know, Viz Media is a publisher group that published a lot of massive titles, such as Bleach, Inuyasha, Sailor Moon, Naruto, all of that is under Viz Media. And then with a follow-up tweet from Kayozia, they stated, I was in a hurry to warn other artists when I made this tweet, so maybe copyright strike isn't the perfect word to use here. But here's a crop photo of the paper they handed at my booth. It has come to our attention that if you're offering to sell merchandise in a manner that appears to infringe upon the copyright and or trademarks owned by Viz Media LLC or Crunchyroll LLC, aka the rights holder, this activity will be reported to Anime Expo staff per their request. Failure to cease this activity may result in your expulsion from the expo. Here is a list of merchandise with infringing names. So as you can see, Attack on Titan, Black Butler, Black Clover, Bleach, Chainsaw Man, they have Haikyuu, Fruits Baskets, Naruto, Tokyo Ghoul, Tower of God, the whole shebang, and other ones like Lucky Star and Dragon Maid. And the type of merchandise they marked down as well, like jewelry, trinkets or lanyards, and wallets, keychains, or phone cases. That was happening in Anime Expo. And then basically with this, there are two sides. So there's a group of people that think, hey, it is pretty fucked up that these big companies like Viz Media is going around and trying to encroach on small artists just trying to make a living. And the other group of people, their thought process is, well, this is the law, and without proper authorizations, selling art and like products of somebody's IP is technically illegal. So I'm just curious as to what you guys think about this. But I found people from both sides. And again, if you don't agree with anybody's statement, don't send hate to them. That's never the thing that we try to do here. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice. So we have Komaju stating, I will never understand big media brands trying to strike down artists for this. Like, it's mutually beneficial. Fans want more merch, fans keep interacting with and showing off the media, artists get to make merch and money, and the media companies essentially get free advertising. And we have somebody like Gab stating, and it's essentially annoying because these artists are not making even close to enough money to threaten the profits of big media brands. Komajus follows up with stating, they could never even threaten profits of big media brands since they do not usually sell the products artists do. If they did, fans would be buying them. I'm a Splatoon fan, I will buy Splatoon merch whenever I can, but I can't because they don't sell it here. And we have Prairie Q stating, in my opinion, Crunchyroll is such a hypocrite and is just doing it for profit. They forgot they were once a bootleg anime/drama streaming company that used fan subs in the OG days. It would make sense for recent titles that they have merch, but some titles there's literally none. I'm just saying personally, I'm a big Sanrio girly. I love Pom Pom Purin, and I buy Pom Pom Purin things whenever I can see it. So even when it's a small artist or some Sanrio themselves selling licensed product, I basically will buy it. But sometimes Sanrio doesn't make the cute Pom Pom Purin shirts. Of course, I want a keychain of Pom Pom Purin with a chainsaw, so I will buy it from the small artist because I want that. And Sanrio is not going to make Pom Pom Purin with a chainsaw. The other side of the coin, people are basically stating, hey, I mean, at the end of the day, what you're doing technically is illegal. So from a moral standpoint, do these companies morally, should they pursue small artists for selling stuff? Maybe not, but legally, can they? The answer is yes. So we have this tweet from Fuafi. I hope I'm reading their name right. I love their art. I follow them. Their art is gorgeous, by the way. And I think they were at Anime Expo this year. I don't remember, actually. Not defending these companies, but fan artists need to realize this happens every year and not to expect to be treated like Japan. Companies essentially sell the licenses for official goods, and you making fan merch is considered a loss of profit for them. That's all you are. We are not Japan, laws are different there. Fan artists have always operated in a gray zone, and when you step on companies' toes, especially in exhibit halls in a big event like Anime Expo, you'll have to learn when to step off. Again, it's dumb, but it is what it is. In America, if the companies don't pursue an infringement case within X amount of years after learning about the case, they lose the right to after those years. They usually leave Artist Alley alone, but reps will often walk around expo halls, so I just be more aware. Things you can do as an artist. Keep an ear out for which companies are issuing warnings that year. In expo halls, move towards your own original IPs or ones that welcome fan merch. Avoid directly naming /logos/labels to avoid potential confusion with licensed merch. And Fua added a quote retweet from another creator called Tumin. They stated, "Of course, I'm sure everyone gets frustrated, but it's mostly due to the shift in understanding. People hyping up the fan base from a passion is good, but it's not fair for the people who properly license the titles to do business and are required to go through all the hoops." Brother Ming basically follows up with, "The exhibitor hall for pretty much every convention I've been to has been very clear that fan art is not allowed. If you venture outside of allowed IPs like Hoyoverse games, you can't be surprised with the IP reps actually flagging you." And Fua says, "Yup, exactly. They're not trying to make things harder for us. One con I went to this year even allowed fan art this year after a certain distributor is no longer around to hand out takedowns. I'm being vague because they vaguely told me in emails fan art is okay this year." I do want to clarify this as well. So in Anime Expo, there were 3 halls. There was the entertainment hall, which is basically only companies that were there. It was like Hulu, Sanrio was there, a bunch of other big titles. And then there was the exhibit hall for exhibitors, which was in a different building. And then beneath that hall was the artist alley. There was a false notion floating around that these copyright infringement papers were being handed out in the artist alley. The artist alley, from what I know, was untouched by this copyright infringement handout. It was only in the exhibitor hall that it was being handed out in. Like Brother Ming said, typically fan art is not allowed whatsoever in the exhibitor hall unless it is an approved IP like Hoyoverse. In terms of licensing, what it is, if you want to sell IP and you want to make a profit, sell somebody's IP. As in, for instance, if you want to sell, I don't know, let's just use Chainsaw Man because that was on the list. If you want to sell Chainsaw Man products, then you need to contact Viz Media and get a licensing right to make that product. It can cost you a couple thousand to get the rights to the IP to then sell it. But once you acquire that, then you can legally sell fan art, stuff like that. If you don't acquire the IP, then essentially you are illegally selling it. So that's what this is in reference to. In terms of where I personally stand, do I think it's fair that small artists are getting slapped on the wrist with these copyright infringement papers telling them to stop selling the IP? Morally, I don't really think it's fair. These are like small artists at the end of the day. Most of these, there were some big exhibitor tables that were also selling like stolen IP. So stolen, right? Because using legal terms. But at the end of the day, morally, do I think it's a big deal? No. These companies, Crunchyroll, makes way too much money for it to matter. But legally, can they pursue it? And the answer is yes. And I think at the end of the day, if you're doing something that morally everybody does agree is okay, but legally is not allowed, you can't be upset for getting in trouble for doing something that is illegal, that you knew was illegal. That's like me, okay? If I were driving around in California with my car and I put illegal tints on my car, as in California, it's like 70% in the front, anything goes in the back, I believe. If I drive around knowingly with illegal tints on my car, I can't be upset if I got pulled over for my illegal tints because it's illegal. Do I think having tints below 70% on the front windshield is a big deal? No. As long as it's not like pitch black, like you can't see out of your car, that's probably a safety hazard. But below, if you have like, I don't know, 50% tints on the front window, I don't think it matters to me. But again, I can't be upset that I got ticketed for doing something that I know was illegal. I have no tints on my car, by the way. That's just something I threw out, right? If you went into, I don't know, Walmart and you stole a bunch of candy bars, like you stole a Twix bar, and Walmart decided to like arrest you for it. Is it fair that you got arrested for stealing a candy bar? The bar is worth like $1. The loss of profit of like 50 cents for Walmart is really nothing at the end of the day. But again, you can't be upset that you got arrested for stealing a candy bar from Walmart because stealing is illegal. That's just my personal take, at least. So same thing with this. Is the law fair is a different argument. And that's something we can debate too. I definitely see the argument, you know, like a lot of these titles has a fan base that wants to purchase merch, but the IP holder isn't making merch of that title. And the fans want something and the IP holder isn't making it. So of course there's going to be people that come in and fill the gap and make merch. But if you didn't purchase the rights to then do it, you may get in trouble for it. So I don't really think it's fair, but I think you can't really be upset unless you went down the legal route. There is like a legal route to go about it, which is purchasing a license. And if you didn't do that, then it is what it is. And again, at the end of the day, the IP holder Viz Media wasn't going into Artist Alley to target the small artists in Artist Alley that were selling like little pins and whatever. They were in the exhibitor hall, which is like pretty much explicitly like, hey, no fan art allowed in the exhibitor hall. I think in this case, it is pretty fair for Viz Media to go and kind of like slap them on the wrist for it. If they were to go down to Artist Alley though, then my opinion might change because now you're really preying on the small fish and it really doesn't matter.